Welcome to our corner where we talk about the Streets of Avalon role-playing game. I'm Chris.
And I'm Brett.
And today we're talking about the character stats and why I decided to use them for this particular game. So, Brett, you want to know where I started with this?
Yeah, where'd you come up with this shit?
Yeah. So,
what'd you get?
There's a story that we didn't tell when we were talking about this game. We tried to do it in D20 to begin with.
Oh yeah.
And then the SRD fiasco, the open game license fiasco thing happened, and we're like, let's just make our own game. I'm like, yeah, I'll just throw away a year and a half worth of work and do something else. It's fine.
Well, it was that point of like, okay, if they did it once, could this happen again?
Correct.
How about we just not be beholden to anybody but ourselves?
Then of course,
just
like
do our own thing.
4 months after I started working on a new game, they put it in Creative Commons or whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, I'm already here. Might as well just keep going. In looking for a new place to start, I was like, I don't know. I just want the stats to go from 0 to 5. I definitely want that. Like, I don't want to have like a weird 2-digit number that I have to put a modifier next to. Just make it easier the other way. And I'm like, man, I've been like reading about phase rip because I was thinking about maybe running some phase rip. If anybody remembers that old Marvel game, you know.
I do.
Yeah. So I was like, I'm going to start with that. Let's go with phase rip. So I did that. And I put fighting, agility, strength, endurance. I did not use reason. I used intellect instead. I did not use whatever the I was in phase rip. Intuition, I guess. Yeah, intuition.
I think it was.
Yeah. Well, I did use intuition. And then psyche, and I totally used psyche. But there was a stat missing. There's no charisma stat there. So I'm like,
no.
I need a charisma stat, so I put presence in the game. So there's 8 stats. That's why I chose them. If anybody is wondering, like, the most revolutionary thing to me was making fighting a stat. Because when you make fighting a stat, agility and strength become something very, very different.
When I first saw it, the list, I'm like, why the fuck do we have 8, dude? Why 8? I don't get this. And then you started explaining it to me. I'm like, okay, well, what are the numbers like? This is like a 3 to 18 with you're like, no. It's 0 to 5.
Yes.
It's up to 5, bounded accuracy. You ran me through the math. Brett's bad at math. So I'm like, okay, cool. Took you a while, but I got it.
Mm-hmm.
And what you just said about the fighting piece, I'm like, that is cool, because one of the things we've talked about was I want to have somebody who's good at fighting with, mental approach. They're just a tactician and so on and so forth. Like, okay, great. Yeah, good. You can, that's fighting without having to do tons of math every time, like add this plus that, plus this, plus that. It felt like it streamlined things to me a lot, as you said, to just have the fighting stat.
Yeah. And fighting is all about, for the most part, like fighting technique, right? Like you're good at using swords or daggers or bows, crossbows. Maybe you're a good boxer, whatever it is. And then that changes how the game utilizes like agility and strength in a lot of ways. Everybody remembers in a lot of games, you generally add like the agility or your strength to like a fighting check of some sort, like a weapon. It just gets disassociated from that. So like you can just be an agile type character, or you can just be a strong type character. Endurance, same thing. So like to me, that was a revolution for how the game played when I realized that that's what happened. Like, it took me a second to play test it. I'm like, I thought that's what was going to happen. And then in practice, it actually worked. And of course, there's fighting in it. And there's a stat called fighting, but this game isn't about fighting stuff. Like, that eventually you end up fighting stuff a lot of times, but it's really about the other things that you do. Like, the getting ready for heists, investigating into things like getting clues and things like that.
So one of the things I like about this and separating the fighting piece is that a number of my players, the folks I game with, my kids or my buddies up here in town and whatnot, and even yourself, you're one of my buddies, by the way, just in case you didn't know. When I play with my friends,
I never would have guessed. I never would have guessed that one. Like, it's very strange. I'm shocked. I'm honored, shocked, honored, and shocked.
But when we play, is that there's fun in having a suboptimal character that isn't a fighter. Like I don't just, when I say suboptimal, I'm talking about not just being a combat monster, right? And well, the cool things I like, and I say that, and probably you might have to fix my wording here, but I love the idea of like, I'm a dock worker, I'm wicked strong, I'm really good, I'm agile as hell because I work on ships all day, I'm climbing and doing this stuff, and I can't fight. I don't know how to fight. That's not my job. I don't know how to fight. Why would I?
The combat scenes are objective-based scenes because an objective for a combat is I beat the other guys up, right? But then you can do a bunch of other things and have a bunch of other objectives, and like a fight just happens to be the thing that surrounds it. How you go about dealing with those problems, like the fact that there is somebody that's trying to murder you while you're trying to either beat them unconscious, murder them, or get away from them means that you don't have to use fighting to do that. You can use your agility. You can use your strength. You can be like, I'm going to pick this thing up and throw it at him, because that's certainly not really a fighting thing, right?
Yeah, I grab the table and wave it in front of me to keep people away.
Correct.
That's an oak table. Yeah, I got a 5 strength, man.
Yeah,
like,
man.
holy crap.
Go ahead and roll, man. Like, there you go. Let's see. Like, that's a great way to use your resistance roll to defend yourself. And I smash him with the table.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Make a strength roll. You don't get to add a training bonus because there's no training bonus to add to that, but sure.
Unless you, for some reason, you're a specialist in table fighting. Which is
I mean, maybe you're good at like using improvised like large things, right? Like,
the other thing I like about this presence doesn't invoke, and this words have power. We all know this, right? They've got meanings. This doesn't invoke like I'm pretty, I'm handsome, I'm good looking in any way. His presence, like I have. Are you formidable? Like, are you just what about you has your presence, right?
Mm-hmm.
Your piercing eyes, your stunning whatever. I don't know. So I like
force of personality. Yep, force of personality. You can be pretty and not have a good presence. It's fine.
So with intellect and psyche.
Yeah, let's talk about that, because we never talked about magic. So magic, there is magic in the world, and there's also how do you resist the stuff from outside? Because Erlig, if you listen to the Lamplighter episode, you know about Erlig now and some of that stuff. And there's a bit of that cosmic horror in this game, right? That cosmic / eldritch horror. And your psyche is actually how you resist that. And let me tell you, man, there's no training really for getting a bonus or whatnot to like resist that stuff. So the psyche score is basically your only way to do it. And it's been hilarious to watch players realize that. Oh no. All I get is my psyche to this, and I don't have like a 2 psyche or a 1 psyche. I'm like, yeah, go ahead, roll. And they're like,
that's all you got, kid.
Oh no. So 1, that's funny. And then 2, so magic. We didn't talk about magic. Intellect and psyche are your magic scores if you're a magic user. And all clerics, all priests of any temple, because the temples exist, and while there are religions out there and whatnot, there are no gods. So all of those people are just con artists, shammers who basically know how to use magic, and their religious texts and whatnot are just generally magic books that they learn spells from.
Oh yeah, I mean they can believe hard, right? You can have that priest of of Odin, or you've got somebody of Kos or whatever, and they believe 100%.
Yeah.
Like this is their thing. They study their text every day. Then because they've studied their text and they pray appropriately and so forth, they can lay on hands. They've got this. They've got that wired.
We will delve deeper.
Absolutely.
The last episode of the season is religion in Avalon, so we'll talk about it at that point in time. But just want to throw that out there in case somebody was wondering about clerics and things like that.
Yep.
Your intellect is how good you are at casting a spell. So like when you have to make a spell check, you have to roll 2d6 and make an action roll with a spell casting. You will add your intellect to that. So this is gonna sound wild to everybody, but everybody who's played a magic user has really loved the way that this system is set up. All the spells of your area of study you have access to. They cost some amount of spell points. It is a spell point system.
Mm-hmm.
Your psyche is how many spell points you can put into a spell, because every spell has modifiers to change how that spell functions. It's called empowering. So say you have like an illusion spell that can create like a small little illusion. If you empower it with like another couple magic points, power 8th or whatever I called it in the game, I have it somewhere written down.
That's right.
That's why I write things down, so I don't have to remember stuff like this. And we're just having a conversation, so it's getting all messed up. But you could like make that illusion 3 times the size. You can give it smells and sounds, things like that. That's what empowering does. But your psyche is the cap for that.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. Okay, so
you
it's
can
in there.
So that's what limits you. Like you can't put like 20 points into a spell. The most you could ever be able to put is 6 technically, but 5. The reason it's 6 is because if you're putting points into a school that you're familiar with, like that you learned from, then you can add an extra 1. That's all.
Okay. Let me throw endurance out there now. So endurance, and we talked about grit, adding dice, changing numbers, and so on. Endurance and grit seem to be, to me, they seem to tie, right? Like my endurance should inform my grit or vice versa. Is that true, or is that not true?
Boy, let me go pull up the rules so I can remember, because once again, I write stuff down so I don't have to remember, and I was not prepared for this question.
That's all right.
So grit is a class bonus plus your psyche plus your endurance.
Nice. So it isn't involved. So I love the fact that psyche's tied into it too. So grit, endurance. So the cool thing is that because of how the combat flows, as you said, there's a scene is it's object driven. Like, what am I trying to get? What am I trying to not object?
What it's goal driven.
Yeah,
Like what is the objective?
What am I trying? I want to escape. I want to, throw me the idol, I'll throw you the whip. I want to,
disrupt this ritual.
Yeah, I want to do a thing. And you can do that in a number of different ways. And because you could use presence to be very disruptive. You could use intuition to try to figure things out. You've got fighting. You just want to go in there and not just, but you got that skill. Agility. Am I going to throw something? Am I picking up something? There's options here to be creative in combat or those conflicts, not just combat. In a conflict, there's options to be creative. Because one of the things that bugs me sometimes is the when players say, well, I want to roll the hit. How do I roll the hit? How do I roll the hit? How do I roll the hit? Like, well, what else do you want to do? Well, it's a fight. I have to hit him.
Sure. Then I can ask the question, like, what are you going to hit him with?
Yeah, what are you going to hit him with?
I'm going to hit him with my sword. I'm like, all right, well, that's a fighting roll.
Yeah, exactly.
But like, can I pick up this table and hit him with it? I'm like, sure, make a strength check. They make a strength roll, right?
If I stand in front and just like hold the door, is that strength or endurance? Because what I want to do is lean into it. So that conversation could happen in a fight, or it could be like, look, I'm going to take the shots so that she can get out of here.
Yeah.
She's going to stand there, take the hits so she can get out, so the other she can get out. And this guy's going to come around that way. There's ways to like, look, I will endure. I'll hang on to this thing.
I've absolutely had that happen in a game. Somebody was getting hit with a club, right?
Okay.
So now all this stuff is like the narrative has to make sense for it.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
That's why we have this conversation and we talk about it, right? I'm like, this guy starts beating on you with a club. And Bob Everson, I've mentioned him before, he was playing a dock worker, and he's like, how about I just ball up and take it? I'm like, it's a club, it's a blunt object. Sure, go ahead, make your endurance roll as your resistance roll to not get hurt. Now, if that guy was getting stabbed with a dagger or a sword, I'd say probably not, because just the situation, right?
Yeah, it's not the same. Yeah, narratively speaking. I'm glad you brought that up, because that's the phrasing I'm completely failing at. But because I can use these stats in any conflict, and not just fight conflict, like, hey, we're in a brawl, but like, I got to climb this wall. I want to look for clues. I want to do this. I want to do that. I've actually had people, we used to do this with 5e as well. And I can do a similar thing here is if you're tracking something, you come in an alleyway and you're like, how the hell did this guy get out of the alleyway? I've had players look at me like, well, I've got really good climbing. In this case, like, well, did they do this? I'm looking to see, could they climb? Are they fast enough? Make an agility check. Yeah, yes. There's enough handholds you could get out of here. Or the guy with the agility goes, I don't think you could. There's no handholds. How the heck did he get out of here? And the guy with intuition says, wait a second. Let's start looking underneath these boxes. There's got to be another way. There's got to be a hole in the wall. There's got to be some secret passage. And next thing you know, the guy with the strength is up there. And he or she's breaking down the secret door they found, or whatever the case is. So being able to look at that stuff, or saying the character comes up and she's like, I think they just powered up this wall. Give me a strength check. You're strong. Do you think you could power up that wall? And even if what we talked about before is, even if I fail, I can gain some knowledge, but perhaps a penalty or a disadvantage in that case is like, you could, but you'd have to be stronger than me. I can't do it. I don't think anyone in this group could get up that wall.
Mm-hmm.
I failed my strength check. I know that they powered up the wall, but I also know, quote unquote, because I failed, that I don't believe anybody in this group could even do that. They'd have to be some sort of a phenomenal monstrous of man to climb that wall, or his powerlifting gal to get up that wall.
That could either tell you something about the person that you're chasing, or tell you that it's probably impossible.
Yes, one of the two. Yep.
So there's a thing that I'm constantly writing in the rule book, which is context matters.
Absolutely does. No, I like that.
That is context should always matter, and that's one of these things that these role playing games, in my opinion, always tend to like gloss over and not talk about enough. Is because like it's a rule set, so like you get an input, you want an output, but this game is all about the flexibility of the input and the output as like a framework. Like, you want to make a roll, that's fine. Give it some context. As long as you give it context, then the input will help make sense, and then the output will be easier to produce.
I like that. Instead of saying I roll my agility, like, well, why? Explain. And this is the thing. I think just raw gamer advice out there, folks.
Yes.
Is that
we're getting the raw gamer advice.
When anyone wants to roll the dice, say, what are you doing? Why are you doing that? What you just want to roll dice, stop. What are you trying to accomplish? And the context absolutely matters.
What does it look like? Right. Yes. Like, how are you getting to this point? Right. Like, what does it mean to you? What does it look like from your perspective? That way, then it's just easier to understand what's happening. Like, you create that shared narrative game space. I know I'm using these weird words, but all it means is like, I can see what you are seeing so that we can agree on the thing that's going to happen next.
Which is the power of when we talked about tags before, and we talk, if I think now about these stats and how tags could be levered into this, right? If I say, hey, this tag is impacting your endurance because of you're overburdened. This tag impacts your presence because of X, Y, or Z. You're dressed, your clothes are torn to crap, you're beat down, your presence and your endurance are both tagged, bro. You just got the shit kicked out of you. You look like hell, man. Or if you've got that rare magic item and she's like, so yeah, you're fighting with this dagger is jacked up like this.
Yeah, whatever that dagger does. Let me tell you, man, most magic items aren't just like a flat +1. They do cool stuff.
Yeah, they got names. They got names and powers.
Because they're supposed to be special. Like,
exactly.
You're not gonna. It is not a requirement or ever a thing that you would need to find. I don't think I've ever given anybody a magic item in any of these games that I've run. I've run a lot of these Streets of Avalon games at this point.
Some of the stuff you guys found in the original actual play was like the box. Nobody wanted to open that thing anyway. That was horrible.
that wasn't a magic. I mean, it was a magic item. That wasn't like for us. That was just a MacGuffin. That was terrible. These stats, like they are all chosen on purpose. There's some secondary stuff that comes off of them, like your hit protection, your grit, the number of magic points that a magic user would have, Aether.
So we've talked about bounded accuracy before. Can you explain that a little bit better, or explain it at all?
Yeah, sure.
I just want to make sure, because not everybody, myself included, sometimes I want to make sure I have the right definition in my head and how the math works, because we're talking about 0 to 5. And anyway, how does this function?
To me, bounded accuracy means that there is a high number that you can only ever achieve. And in reality, because it's a 2d6, there's a bell curve. So there's like an average score that we are generally getting to.
Okay.
Now, characters, they have a stat bonus. And I know generally what they're going to be rolling at if they roll poor, if they have like bad, average, good, or exceptional skill in their thing. And I denote that by a few things. One, are you trained in a thing? If you're trained in a thing, I know what you get a bonus at each level. Like at +1, you get a +2. Or at level 1, you get a +2 for your training bonus. Your stat bonus is somewhere between 0 and 3 at level 1 because of the array that is there. You could potentially be exceptional. Exceptional gives you a +1 to that training bonus. So like, I'm exceptional with thieves' tools. That means I'm getting at level 1 +3 to pick locks or do whatever I'm doing with thieves' tools, right? And my agility is probably a +3. So that means I know I got a +6 right there. And if I have advantage on it, that's essentially another +2. The average goes to 9 from 7 because 2d6, the average is 7. This is all math shit, right? Like you look at a bell curve, but all of that to say, at level 1, if you're exceptional, you're probably rolling a 15. If you're good at it, you're probably rolling a 13. If you're average, you're rolling an 11. If you're bad, you're on average rolling an 8. I know the bound, right? Like the most that you can roll, I know that the most that you can roll at level 1 is 18. If you roll double 6s, and that's a crit anyway, so you were succeeding.
True. Yep.
So with that, I know the range, so I can design around the range. And I know what people are going to roll most of the time because I know what the average is, and I can design around that. And that's what I did for people. So they can see what the target numbers are. They can assign things based on how hard or not hard they want it to be. Like an average difficulty level is 14. Just is. That's actually hard for a level 1 character to get to, but it's real easy for a level 10 character to get to.
Yeah, because as you've improved over time, what was hard becomes easy. Your skill's better. You're better trained at it. You got more bonuses. You've got better stuff. You're just all around a better character.
Yeah.
So that makes sense.
Also, most people aren't rolling with average. Like, aren't rolling to the average. Most people are making their checks because they're good at a thing, right?
Yes, very true. Yes,
So that is when I'm designing, I'm often looking at that column for like what I'm actually like setting my numbers for.
Yeah, because when I tell them, hey, make that psyche check, like, oh crap.
Yeah, most people have bad psyche or bad to average psyche. So most of the time they're rolling in that like 11, like 8 to 11 range. Sometimes maybe 13 if they're trying to get that one advantage that they can get, or spending a point of grit to get there. So I know that's what I mean by bounded accuracy. Like I know the bounds of the numbers, and it's really hard to get outside of them. There's not a lot of game breaking combinations.
So when we talk about that bounded accuracy, I like how that informs the stats and how that plays there. And maybe this is a topic for another day too. But
boy, there's a lot of math. Everybody, sorry.
That's all right. But for the for balance, when we talk about like, hey, I think, well, I shouldn't say I think. I know one of the things we talked about is like, look, because there's tags, you've got context matters. I've got narrative powers in different places and stuff. I think one of the things that does for me anyway is when I think about it as a game master, I feel less worried about a difficult event because it feels like you have, as a player, and from my experience in playing it, we had more than one die roll, right? Yeah. Oh, I don't. It's not like I'm just doing X, and not that other games don't have options too, but what I liked here was I felt like whatever the opportunity was or whatever the event was, encounter, whatever you want to call it, there's a lot of room to defeat, move past, whatever it is, the thing. You don't have to just go, well, it says intellect test, or you don't find the data. No, there's 10 different ways or more.
That's what I wanted. That because I felt like that's how you and I both play and run games.
Yes, absolutely.
That doesn't mean you can't do that in other games. I've been doing this with every kind of role-playing game that I run. So, I mean, it's nothing new. It's just more specifically designed for this. Like it's intentional. Like I did it on purpose to promote that kind of play.
And that's the thing. I just want to call that out because I think it's important when you're playing the game. If you're going to play this, if you're going to play the system and you like the setting, you're like, oh, I want to try this. That level of creative thinking is going to get you farther. Insofar as like it's gonna be more fun, the system will have more bells, more whistles, and you'll feel like you're really working with everything you've got. If you're doing those things, it doesn't mean that you can't be creative in other games. Obviously, you can. Chris, I've played Jesus Christ, so many goddamn games. It's insane.
So many.
But it's just it's one of those.
This year I've played a ton.
Same. But it's one of those things where I want people to really, if nothing else, again, general gamer advice. The more creative you are in all of those pieces, the more fun you're going to have. And I think the way that this system is set with the bounded accuracy, the 2d6, the way we've talked about the bonuses and such, you want to get the bonuses. You get the bonuses through creative use of your stats, through tags, through all the different pieces we've talked about so far, and probably more to come, of course. But by utilizing all those pieces and parts and taking all those Lego and making a really cool thing, you're going to get the most you can out of every event, encounter, whatever you want to call it. I think that's cool.
If nobody realized it, you can't have advantage more than once. You could have 4 positive tags, you only get to add 1 die. It's just how that works. Although if you have 4 positive tags on the situation, maybe the game master just says you get it. Like, I mean, I don't know how you fail at this point. Like, I think you just won.
Exactly. Yeah. It's a match. You have it in a bucket of water. The match goes out. We don't need to roll this. Come on now. Let's just move on.
Right? Yeah. Like, let's move on. It's raining.
I like how the stats tie to different pieces, which they obviously should. The bounded accuracy to me makes sense. And as you said, calling out fighting as its own thing is fun to me because you have the ability then, just because you're strong doesn't make you a good fighter. Just because you're agile doesn't make you a good fighter. I just think that's fun.
Yeah.
To me, because then you can make different types of characters. Like, look, I'm a carpenter, man. That's what I got into. And my first level is I kind of suck at fighting. I'm not a fighter, man. I'm a carpenter. I wasn't a pit fighter. The pit fighter is really good at fighting. I'm a carpenter. The
pit fighters got training in unarmed combat, so they get to use fighting.
She's amazing at that. I suck. I hammer nails. She kills people. Come on, man.
Oh man,
that's
so
cool.
Funny.
That's very fun.
So there's like one other thing I suppose I should mention because so here's what I believe about design, and I think this is a thing that kind of gets missed from a lot of people. Because a lot of people are like, what's the game system, right? And they're like, they want it to be D20 mostly because they're comfortable with it because they understand, and this is the crux, the interactions between different mechanics.
Oh,
And
yeah.
that's where design actually comes in, is the interactions between these different mechanics and how they work together. So a mechanic I haven't talked about yet is called the stunt die. I mentioned it in one of the other earlier episodes, but the stunt die is this die or dice that people get as they level up, that if they do something that is not like a thing that would deal weapon damage, or it makes sense for dealing weapon damage, or just do something else outside of that, like I'm gonna jump down on this guy from the roof, or I'm gonna put this guy in a sleeper hold and try to choke them out. You can do harm to those people while also doing that thing. It's kind of like a little extra rider that you get when you are doing things that are not necessarily like I hit it with a weapon. So, like I said, that person grabs somebody and tries to like choke them out or restrain them. If they succeed on their strength check, because that would be a strength check, not a fighting check necessarily, right? Like, I'm just gonna put this guy in a bear hug and squeeze as hard as I can. I'm like, that sounds like a strength check. That sounds like a strength roll, I should say.
Yes.
Use the proper terminology. Too many games, too many terms. In our game, it's called roll. If they succeed, they would put the tag like grabbed on them, and they can't move, and they're like probably have some sort of disadvantage, or people would have advantage to doing things to them, and they could deal their harm dice to them, their stunt dice, and harm to them. So like the rogue and the thief and the fighter, they do more stunt dice. They have a higher stunt die than some of the other characters.
So it's like a Mighty Deeds die.
Yeah, pretty much. It's exactly what it is. I stole the mechanic from there for sure.
No, and it's legit. That's one of the cool things I like about, and that's Mighty Deeds, for those who don't know, Dungeon Crawl Classics, DCC. It's a fun thing. Dwarves and fighters in there get to use it. And I've used it in this game with Chris running it, and it was a blast, because you're like, I want to do this extra thing. So it allows you to do kind of that narrative fun thing in the fight.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing I like, the way that so far everything is played out, is in my experience playing it and reading it and listening to Chris again explain it, is I don't have a lot of mini games or sub rules. If anybody remembers, like old school, or maybe really old school, or even up to 3rd edition D&D grappling, like, I'm gonna do all this stuff, I want to grapple. Oh shit, get the grappling rules. It was a subset of rules. And one of the things that's really nice about doing what Chris is talking about, for me anyway, is I want the consistency of the flow. I want things to move quickly, and I want the adds subtracts to be very natural. I'm going to use a stunt die. Got it. I'm using some grit points to do this, or use this for that. It's right there. I don't need to go grab my my rule book and look up what the grapple rules are.
Advantage is an extra D6. Disadvantage is just add 1 or 2 to the target number.
Yeah, this is a very small chart on the back of your DM screen that tells you, your GM screen that says, hey, here's the X number of things. It's not complicated. And like any other game system, once you play things and you figure it out, it's even smoother. But I believe, from my experience, I had a very intuitive feel through the whole thing, which is what I want. I don't want a system that makes me feel like I want to do something special. Pull out the special book. Shit, how does this thing work? So I think that's pretty cool, man.
I think that's pretty much all we need to talk about concerning that.
Yeah.
In the future, we'll get to GM tools and adversaries, but before that, we'll get to the magistrate houses. That'll be a good time.
That'll be fun.
Thank you for listening to Under the Lamplight, the Streets of Avalon role-playing game podcast. If you enjoyed the show, please like and subscribe on YouTube. You can pick up the playtest version of the game, which I've done my best to give a slightly nicer layout with some art, at polygamero.us. The link is below. And we'll see you under the lamplight next week.